I just closed a loan in 4 days. So what?
That's not a story.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
Why did you have to close that loan in 4 days?
Yeah.
Was it a family who had a deal fall out, but they needed it to close in 4 days because that beat the registration deadline in this school in the district that they wanted their kids to attend? Those are the human stories that people want to hear.
Yeah.
The chest thumping.
Look at me.
And, oh my gosh, nobody cares, and it makes you look slimy and salesy. It's not good. You are not, shouldn't be looking at you because you know this. You are not Luke Skywalker. You are his lightsaber. You are not Indiana Jones. You are his whip. You are not Captain America. You are his shield. You are the guide. You are the trusty tool that the hero of the story uses in order to get across the finish line. It's not your finish line. It's theirs.
Mike, welcome back
Thank
to the
you,
show.
Geoff, for having me. This is awesome.
And welcome to Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's been years. I think the last time I was here was 2019
Really?
for Mastermind back in 2019.
That was the last time you were here for a mastermind?
That's the last time I was here.
And you're here again for the Mastermind Summit, which is why we're all meeting up here.
Yep.
What I'm excited about is to talk about this new book, Rethink Everything.
Camera 2.
You're the guy as
You got the shot.
he knows video.
That's right.
So just like it says on your sweatshirt, I make content that makes you money.
That's right. That's very different than making content that gets you views.
Okay, cool. So let's jump in with, let me start with, what's the intent of the book? What were you hoping to accomplish with this?
That book, in my mind, the way I wanted to lay it out was that is the blueprint for anyone who wants to use video content to enhance and boost their business and sales efforts.
Okay.
Rethink Everything. The title of the book, obviously it's under the Rethink Everything banner. My collaborator, Kyle Draper.
Yep. Shout out, Kyle. What's
Shout
up?
out to Kyle. Thank you for inviting me on this journey, brother. But he kind of said this thing was the Mike Ferrossi show. That's how he framed it. So that's how I took it and ran with it.
Nice.
Kyle's really good at the things that I suck at.
For example?
He's really good at telling people why they should make video.
Okay, yeah.
Get the non-believers over the hump.
Yeah.
I can't stand talking to those people. It's 2025, man. If you're back there, stay back there. I need to take the people who know that this is valuable
You've already bought in
and teach you how to do it most effectively so it doesn't take up so much of your time and it sets you up for commitment to a long-term system.
Okay.
That's what this book is built around.
Hmm.
The first 3 chapters are Kyle kind of telling you a little bit how and a few different ways to use videos that are not Instagram Reels.
Yeah.
Because video is a means of communication.
Sure.
And it's a marketing asset.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a reel that you post and then it dies 24 hours later.
Right.
The final 13 chapters are me laying out my content system for a single solo person to repurpose on their own. If they want to implement it for a team, you can do that also. But I really took this from the frame of mind of, okay, the person reading this book knows that there's value here. They might not know what to talk about. They might not exactly know what they should be saying, who they should be saying it to, what they should expect once they start actually posting this content publicly. And then just taking that and framing it in a way to where it can set them up systematically to continue it without it taking you as long as you think it will take you. Because there's a lot of misconceptions out there about video content. And one of the misconceptions is that it takes a long time to produce. And there are lots of different ways to go about it where that is absolutely true. But if you set yourself up systematically from a business mindset, that's not necessarily the case.
Okay. So am I correct then to sum it up to say, referencing Kyle, shout out Kyle, he's more the why, are you the how?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
Okay. So let's break this down then.
I love like the first words that I write in the book in chapter 4 are literally, thanks, Kyle, I'll take it from here. So like that, like it, and that's what
you're trying to say you got to cut off Kyle once in a while?
No, Kyle does a pretty good job of cutting off Kyle. So we don't have to worry about that.
If he's watching this, he knows we're just kidding. We love him. Kyle's awesome, man. Very inspirational.
That's right.
He's my brother from another mother.
Yeah, both of us. We're basically the same person.
Are you really?
Backwards hat, bearded. I think we're within an inch of height of each other.
And you might root for different sports teams, I think. But
most likely. I'm the California version. He's the Texas version. We got somebody for everybody in here.
Yeah, it's Texas. I don't know. Well, that's a whole other conversation. Let's get into some of the nuggets here.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're the how.
Yep.
And you're for the people who already understand, I need to be doing video. I don't need to be convinced anymore.
Correct.
Okay. So then take that person. They're at the doorstep. They're like, I understand I need to do video. I get the why. Where do you start with them on the how?
I start strategically on the how. So I like to think of any organic content like business GPS, right?
Okay.
A lot of people will shoot a couple of videos and then they'll post it and they'll say, well, I'm not really landing. I'm not really getting any traction with the people that I want to be getting traction with. I don't think this is working for me. And
they want to quit.
And they do quit,
right.
Which is the worst thing that you can do is quit, because we can get into consistency later. That's the dead horse that's been beaten by everybody.
Right.
But that's kind of like saying, I hopped in my car and I didn't really know where I wanted to go. So from Las Vegas, I plugged in Los Angeles to the GPS. And I was just so pissed off that it didn't take me straight to the Hollywood Walk of Fame. But you didn't tell it where you want to go.
Yeah, specific.
Content's the same exact thing. If you want to resonate, if you want to connect with a specific group of people, you need to reverse engineer your content in order to land with that group of people, instead of trying to, you fall into the trap like a lot of beginners do, especially salespeople, of, well, my target market is everybody I could possibly be selling to.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the best target market in the world, because if you make something for everyone, it actually resonates with nobody, because you're not talking to anyone in particular, which is why content systems are so valuable, because that lets you scale up the volume of content that you're making. So that way, if you're a mortgage professional and you have access to a great down payment assistance program, you can make a piece that talks about it to the first-time home buyers in your zip code. And then you can make another piece that talks about it to the real estate agents, because the context is completely different there. The messaging, completely different. Maybe there's another piece that you make for the financial planners that you want to attract as referral partners. Maybe there's a piece that you make for the parents of college-age kids, because you want them to know about it, because if their future grads are looking at becoming a homeowner pretty soon, maybe you're connecting with the parents so they can kind of pass on the word and let them know that these things exist. The message, the topic, so to speak, doesn't always have to change. Your audience member changes.
Yeah, what it sounds like there, those you've got from the same, macro piece of content, you've got 4 micro, so to speak.
And I call it content multiplication in the book. So we first start with dialing in some target viewer personas, not target client personas, because your target viewers could be referral sources. They could be people you want to recruit to your organization. So you dial in some target viewer personas, and then you dive into some content pillars. If you have 5 target viewers and 5 content topics, that's not 10 pieces of content, it's 25.
Okay, so are you, then back to my question about when you start with somebody, do you first start with identifying your viewer profile? Is that what you
said? Correct. That's where I start. Not only is that where I start people off in the book or in my content, if they follow me on the socials, but when I sign on a new client, that's the first step in our onboarding session, is dialing in their target.
Who are you trying to reach?
Exactly, because unless you know who you want to be viewing your content, then you're not going to be able to make content that's viewable in a meaningful way by them.
Yeah, you're throwing crap against the wall. That gives you some context, and that you build strategy from that.
Correct.
Interesting. Okay, so first is, who are you making content for?
Yep.
What mistakes do you think when you're dealing with loan officers, let's say, coming in? You already mentioned one. I'm trying to reach everybody.
Yeah.
What do you find were the areas they most struggle with or trip up when it comes to content strategy or viewer targeting?
Content delivery, content strategy. The biggest mistake that I see salespeople, not just mortgage sales, just people who sell things, is selling.
Selling, meaning they're trying to sell.
That's it. They can't get out of their own head.
Yeah.
They have this amazing thing. I have this amazing book, Disrupt or Die by Geoff Zimpfer, and I need to get it in as many hands as possible because that's how I pay my bills. Instead of doing that, like, this is an amazing product. Camera 2, right? But this is an amazing product. A lot of people who do not own this should own this. But they're not buying a book. They're buying a solution to a problem.
Right.
And that's where the messaging in our content needs to start.
Yeah.
So many people freeze up when I ask the follow-up question. The initial question is, what do you sell? Everybody has that answer. The follow-up is, great. What do your customers buy from you? They're buying a different solution to a different problem. And those pain points need to be identified and addressed through storytelling, through past experiences, through solutions that do exist, through myth busting, through all of these different tactics, addressing clickbaity headlines, mortgage and real estate, that's huge, right? Like, there's a whole strategy in becoming the news source for your audience as opposed to just being a part of the news story. What if you were the person who showed up every couple of days saying, hey, saw this headline the other day, really pissed me off because here's what's really going on in the market. You know what I mean? The local following that you can build around being that expert, the person who brings real perspective to a kind of a niche market or a smaller audience. These are the ways that the solo loan officer, the small brokerage, can compete with Rocket and
being
the
local
UWMs
focused
and the loan depots, because they have no choice but to expand nationally, but they don't have the resources to pour into your kind of micro market.
So is that one of the key takeaways, is if you can pepper in some local focused content?
Not of the book, but it's a key takeaway
not of the book,
here.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, what I'm thinking about, so like you
Gary
mentioned,
Vaynerchuk calls it being the digital mayor of your town.
Yes.
Right. And I've always loved that concept. Like it resonates with me.
Right.
When it comes to, especially we work a lot with mortgage and real estate professionals, man. Why doesn't almost every mortgage professional in every small city have their own podcast where they just interview small business owners in the area? Every real estate agent gets approached by mortgage people.
Yeah.
And increasingly, divorce attorneys are being approached. Financial planners are being approached, things like that. But the mom and pop coffee shop down the street comes in contact with hundreds of people a day, and they probably don't have a trusted mortgage professional. And if you gave them a little bit of a platform to promote their thing, they're going to feel like they owe you a favor. That's a great relationship. And then all of a sudden, all the small businesses in your area are recommending you.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
What percentage of the total content types, right? Because we've got local, we've got market-driven, educational, mortgage, all the different...
Yes.
The mom and pop coffee shop thing. Or just to answer the broader question, right? Can you ascertain a rough percentage of content type buckets for people when they think about the types of content they need to put out?
I lay out kind of 5 main pillars.
Yeah.
You know, one is news, one is kind of just educational.
Okay.
And not necessarily, we have this product, you need this credit score, you need this DTI, this is the max loan amount. No, I'm talking about like, this is what an adjustable rate mortgage is.
Okay.
You know, the very foundational type of stuff.
Sure.
So educational, news, problem solving, success or failure stories, a little bit of storytelling, and then kind of local, being the mayor of your town. And I really like an even split of all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because it gives you a chance to try out multiple things.
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong, there is no like Pythagorean theorem that works every time.
That word's too big for this show.
Sorry. I got into a little bit of math.
Break it down for the people in the cheap seats, man.
Right. There is no E equals MC squared.
Ah, got it.
There is no constant.
There's no magic formula
that exists and works for everybody. If there was, wouldn't have to write a book. And we wouldn't have to try to sell it, even if there was. Everybody's audience is different.
Right.
So dividing your content between pillars evenly, especially when you start out, allows you to run a bunch of content organically.
Sure.
It's not pay to play. These platforms are free to access.
Yep.
You run it out there, you build a little bit of an audience, you stay consistent with it, and then you start paying attention to it a little bit more
So you're
tracking
saying just test.
And you're gonna start picking. That's it. Marketing is
all
a
a test.
It's all an experiment.
Right?
Everything's an experiment.
Then you find something that jams or clicks or whatever, and then you're like, ooh, all right, that hit a button.
There's a great quote that I heard one time. Science is just playing around with toys, but you're writing stuff down. Like that's like everything's an experiment, right? Marketing is an experiment because everybody's audience is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And like I live in Southern California. I'm not going to make a whole lot of first-time homebuyer content right now when in the county that I live in, the median list price is $1.3 million.
Yeah.
That's just not, it's not a thing. I'm going to make more content for self-employed business owners to get a loan that they deserve by using tax returns instead of, or bank statements instead of tax returns, going a little bit of non-QM solutions there for them. I'm going to make some content for investors, especially. I live in a college town, huge for investors because there's not enough dorms and a lot of the local homes are rented out to students as seasonal investments and things like that. And these investors make a killing on that stuff. So my audience in my location would be different than the next person's audience in the next person's location.
Yeah.
But when you're first getting started with your content, you have to run all types equally, at least for a little bit in the beginning. And then you're going to see what stuff you get a higher engagement rate on. Oh, people seem to be liking this more. People seem to be commenting or DMing more from the, how does an adjustable rate mortgage work? What is a buy down? Like that stuff seems to be hitting in my area more than the news content. So then you start leaning in proportionally where you're seeing a bigger pickup.
Okay. So it starts with identifying who you're trying to reach, right? Your viewing audience. And then you're going to get a little bit more strategic / tactical with the types of content, the buckets of types of content you talked about.
That's right. And when it comes to like, a lot of people think timelines, oh, how long is that going to take? Like, it's not going to be short. This is not like sales.
How long is what going to take?
How long is like a content strategy going to take to start working, to start seeing stuff?
Sure. Like how long do I have to do videos before it pays off?
That's right. That's right. Because everybody's looking for the magic bullet, the magic wand. And
what do you say to that, by the way?
I say 6 to 12 months before you start seeing a meaningful lift in conversations. We're not looking for lead generation. We're not looking for closed loans to automatically hit in your DMs. That is not what we're looking for. We're just looking to generate conversations with people we wouldn't have otherwise been able to have conversations with, because that's where relationships come from and that's where referrals and business come from.
What was it you said at the beginning? Most people are optimizing for views versus...
A lot of people are optimizing it for views, which leads them into creating a broader content set for a broader audience.
Right.
They're trying to appeal to everybody so they can get a bunch of views because dopamine's a powerful thing.
Yeah, and that's right. That's been the metric.
I fall victim to that sometimes too. Oh, why am I not getting enough views on this? I put so much effort into that one. It's like, well, dummy, maybe you just posted it at the wrong time of day.
Yeah.
So try it again 2 weeks later in the morning instead of in the evening. Like sometimes that can be the difference. It might not be the content.
Well, what is the North Star then? What if it's not views? What's the North Star metric?
Conversations. Yeah, I like conversations. If you don't want to track all the conversations that you have, I like to look at engagement rate, which would be your views.
Yeah, how long they're watching.
Not necessarily length, but likes and comments.
Okay.
Divided by the number of views you're getting. So for every 100 views, how many people are liking or commenting on this particular piece of content?
Is the Holy Grail shares? Or is there a Holy Grail?
If you ask Instagram CEO, it is.
You don't necessarily.
He's been on record saying that shares are the biggest metric for growth. It's hard to get
shareable content, though.
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
The vast majority of shareable content there isn't necessarily education based. It's
entertainment.
It's entertainment. It's funny.
Skits.
It's a quick hit.
People falling off their patio.
That's right. The America's Funniest Videos type of stuff.
Exactly.
You know, so
stuff we love to share.
Yeah, I like comments. I like DMs.
Well, yeah, that's more realistic in our world.
Yes, exactly. Because we don't need millions of views to be wildly successful with
Which is a great point. And let's riff on this for a second, then we'll get into the 3 E's. Because it's relevant to the views. Because that was the metric for a while, right? Is how do you know if your content's, it's views. It's, you mentioned comments as well. But let's riff for a second on, you mentioned you don't need 1 million followers. Speak to the changes in the algorithm where it used to be about followers, but now it's about the content. And you can have the right conversations that feed your business without a large following.
So I have proof of this literally in my phone right now. So I have a YouTube channel. It's a passion project. Okay. Hardly anybody business-wise knows about this.
I don't think I know this.
It's a YouTube channel. I'm a watch nerd. I love.
Oh, really?
I love watches.
Really? You sporting a good one today?
It's decent and
so the Apple. You're like, no, dude, this doesn't qualify.
I don't wear smartwatches. No.
All right, go ahead.
Not huge on that, but I commend what Apple has done with those because it's gotten a lot of people used to wearing something on their wrist when they didn't before. Yeah. And a lot of Apple Watch users have turned into mechanical watch enthusiasts.
Yeah, well, it's created a lot of engagement.
It brought this watch. Yeah, brought a lot of people into the hobby.
All right, keep going.
So it's pretty cool. Anyways, so I have a YouTube channel where I review mostly budget, entry-level, mechanical watches.
Like 500 or less or what?
Typically 1,000 or less. 1,000 or less. And most of the ones that I review are in the $100 to $300 range.
Okay, cool.
I just hit 5,000 subscribers on that channel.
That's a pretty cool idea.
But 3 weeks ago, I posted a watch review that has over 60,000 views now. In the last month, that channel has seen 118,000 views and 5,400 hours of watch time.
Wow, nice.
For all that, YouTube has paid me $330.
Yeah.
Like, this is not monetizable in a meaningful way.
Sure.
But if I'm a mortgage professional, if I'm a real estate agent, and I can build something that gets me 1,000 subscribers and 20,000 views in a month and 1,000 hours of watch time, that long of people intaking your messaging is going to result in people reaching out to you with questions. And if you can convert one of those questions into a deal, then all of a sudden you've eclipsed like 3 years of my YouTube earnings because even though I'm getting so many more views, but also with my relatively small channel, I can get hundreds of thousands of views. I have one short on that channel that has 380 something thousand views on a channel that at the time I posted it had like 1,200 subscribers. Because the algorithms and AI being integrated into them are at the point now to where they are transcribing every video in the background, whether you put captions on it or not.
Yeah.
So when somebody has interests, especially on TikTok, they're just ahead of Meta in the algorithmic type of stuff. But the TikTok For You page it knows how fast you scroll. It knows how long things are on screen for. There's rumors that there's some eye tracking technology out there that's baked in. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've heard rumors. All I know is that if you're on TikTok and you watch a video for 25 seconds and you watch another one for 3 seconds, you will see more videos that look like that one you watched for 25 seconds than the ones that you watched for 3 seconds, regardless of how many followers the account who posted it has.
Yeah.
Because it's a merit-based algorithm, not a follower-based algorithm.
Exactly. Which gets back to the content, which 100%. Is why the content is so important.
Now more than ever before, you can start fresh, brand new account, 0 followers, 0 subscribers, 0 anything, and start getting a meaningful amount of audience members.
Well, I've seen it happen for sure on YouTube. The smaller channels are getting promoted. And we'll before we wrap up, we'll talk about platform choices and things like that. But I think that hits the point home for anybody who's listening or watching is you don't need thousands and thousands of followers to build a business. By the way, YouTube AdSense is, for most people listening, not a business model. right?
No.
The business model is you driving conversations through your content.
That's right.
Whatever platform that's going to be. So it's about content over followers, and just you're not too small, you're not too late. As a matter of fact, this is the time to double down on content, quality content.
Yes.
So let's then riff a little bit on production.
Sure.
Meaning, because I think you have it in your book, right? Quality versus quantity?
Yeah. So quality versus quantity is actually talking about views.
Is it? All right, we're back to views.
Yeah, back to views. That's the people chasing views equation.
All right. Yeah.
Don't chase
views.
View quantity. Chase view quality.
Oh, okay. That's view quality. All right. So let's talk
it's
though
one
about
of those things. Like, would you rather have 13 million views and have 2 people reach out to you about what you actually do?
Right.
Or 1,300 views and have 5 people reach out?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I've been spending a decent amount of time evaluating what I do, content production, like the content I want to put out, because I'm going to refocus a lot of time on YouTube myself personally.
Great.
Because it is a discovery mechanism.
Yes.
And regarding a podcast, the podcasts are pretty hard for discovery, audio only.
Yes.
So that's why I'm pushing a lot of stuff over to YouTube and learning a lot about content and the type of content. Now, that said, really the thread of conversation when it comes to what we're talking about here is content's got to be nailed down.
Yeah.
Which goes back to the buckets you talked about, the production.
Consistent messaging.
Consistent messaging, even though your topics will vary.
They don't even have to vary. You can do the same topic. I used to do when I was doing this for Mortgage Brand.
Yeah.
I would publish a short about how you don't need 20% down to buy a house every Tuesday of every week.
Oh, really? And you get a new audience.
You're all people. New people are always finding you.
Right.
There's a reason that Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk, Alex Hormozy.
Yeah.
There's a reason that your favorite band, right? All these people that speak and play on the biggest of stages. There's a reason they say the same stuff all the time.
Right.
It's because the audience is different at every tour stop, right?
Right.
There's a reason they play the same set list all the time. The audience is always different. So as you're building audience through your content, if you have the stuff, and this is one of the content pillars, core content, the stuff that's like really at your core, that's true to you. It's a foundational business principle. It's part of your ethical makeup. It's just something that you really believe everybody needs to know. Why is it that in that NAR study in 2022, did 70% of the entire country still think you need 10% or more down payment to buy a house? Why?
Yeah.
Why? I'm going to make it my mission to get that knowledge out there.
Yeah.
If you do that over and over and over again, more people will get that message. If you do it once or twice and then stop because you get bored of it, then the audience members that find you 5 and 6 months from now aren't going to get that from you.
What just popped in my head was stories, and I know you talk about sharing success stories and failure stories, right?
Yes.
Stories, client stories. What I thought about there is how many loan officers right now are listening who have closed a buyer at less than 10% down and have not talked about that as a story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to me, that'd be a really obvious of like, let me tell you, I just work with the Smith family.
Most loan officers need a little more coaching with their storytelling.
Probably.
Let me tell you.
But isn't that an easy to go to bucket?
Let me give you the example, right? Okay. All right. Straight to camera 2. Hey, I'm Joe Blow LO at ABC Mortgage, and I just closed a loan in 4 days. So what?
That's not a story.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
Why did you have to close that loan in 4 days?
Yeah.
Was it a family who had a deal fall out, but they needed it to close in 4 days because that beat the registration deadline in the school in the district that they wanted their kids to attend? Those are the human stories that people want to hear.
Yeah.
The chest thumping.
Look at me.
And, oh my gosh, nobody cares, and it makes you look slimy and salesy. It's not good. You are not, shouldn't be looking at you because you know this. You are not Luke Skywalker. You are his lightsaber. You are not Indiana Jones. You are his whip. You are not Captain America. You are his shield. You are the guide. You are the trusty tool that the hero of the story uses in order to get across the finish line. It's not your finish line. It's theirs. So if you can tell those human success stories from the hero's perspective and maybe toss in a little bit about how you guided them across that finish line, then you're really starting to hit on some things.
So one simple takeaway from that awesome example would be if you just position yourself more as the guide in the story, not the hero, because the client is the hero.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And whenever somebody gets to the summit of Mount Everest, you never hear the Sherpa's name. But they're the ones who have done it multiple times.
Wow.
You know?
That's good. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell stories. You're the guide, not the hero. Okay. What are the 3 E's?
3 E's are educate, entertain, and emotions. Those are the 3 things that you can do to grab somebody's attention and hold it in your content.
Okay.
A lot of people focus on education because we expert in things all day, every day, and that's the easiest thing. But almost anybody who's posting content now can hit on one of those E's in any given piece of content that they want.
Okay.
Attacking multiple is really how you can make your content stand out. I like to focus on emotion first.
Okay.
That emotional reaction in the first 5 to 10 seconds. Maybe it's in your hook. Huge. My favorite way to do that is problem identification. And just relating to the problems that your target audience has. Hey, are you looking to buy your first house in Orange County, California? Sucks, doesn't it? I live here too. Like, it's expensive. It's crazy. That identifies a problem and empathizes with them and lets them know that you understand. And that gives you permission to then say, but it might not be as tough as you think. There's a couple solutions to this, one of which almost completely overcomes your down payment. Shoot me a DM or give me a comment with the word 0 down. And I'll reach out to you personally so we can have this conversation because you're not going to want to miss out on this. Keeping it high level, including a feel free to reach out to me, call to action, very important. But what we did was elicit an emotional response by identifying their problem and then educate them about a solution to that problem. You don't always have to give them all the details of the solution. You just have to let them know that there is one because they probably don't know that.
And that's a technique. That is a tactic, I would say, which is you're selling the problem more than the solution. The solution is
correct.
DM me, let's grab a call.
Correct. The solution is you don't need all of that down payment to buy a house. Like and your back pocket solution, you know it's a product, you know it's a down payment assistance program, you know it's a grant, whatever it is that you've identified. But the way that you get people's attention off the bat is to elicit that emotion. And the most effective way to do that is by problem identification, because as human beings, back to our caveman days, we are wired to run much faster away from pain than towards pleasure. Like, oh, these berries look great. I would like to taste those berries. But if that tiger eats me, I'm not going to get to. So I'm going to run away from the tiger faster than I run towards the bush. You know, like you identifying those pain points that you solve through your problems, great tactic to use in your hooks, in the openings to kind of gain some viewer retention there. And then follow that up with some education. And if you are bold and you want to try to entertain, do so.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you about that.
Even if you become the mortgage guy around the corner who's full of terrible dad jokes, it's better than not being known.
Yeah.
You know, like, and even, and everybody tells a bad joke and it goes over poorly. So it makes you human, more relatable too.
Right.
But if you want to toss in a joke, if you want to, maybe you're in a funny place. I don't know. I used to record some videos for mortgage companies literally in front of dumpsters.
Oh, wow.
It was an arbitrage that they were executing on low FICO score borrowers. And so like our most mortgage lenders telling you that your credit belongs in there.
Oh, see, that's good.
You know what I mean?
That's a good tie-in.
But it was stuff like that. It was like, is this guy really in front of a real life dumpster? It's like, yeah, real life dumpster. Like that's kind of entertaining.
But so here's the question. How do you deal with or address the more analytical people. Because there's a fair amount of analytical people in the mortgage industry.
Yes.
Right? I would say different than real estate side.
Yep.
So those that maybe don't have that lane of like, oh, I can piece these two together, or you know what I mean? They're all about numbers, products, structured deals, things like that.
So lean into it
Mm-hmm.
or outsource your content creation.
Okay.
Because when it comes to analytics and math, like there is nothing that turns the general population off faster than when you start to give them math to do.
Right. Like DTI.
No, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do one of the best ways, credit my friend Dan Green, who explained DTI the best I've ever heard it, and I've stolen it from him. He said, if you spend $43 a month or less out of every 100 pre-tax dollars you make on your mortgage payment and stuff that shows up on your credit, you qualify. And like, there's no percentages, there's no math, there's no like, that's the key to solid communication of those complex topics is, I don't want to say dumbing it down. It's just ultimate simplification.
Yeah.
If you can say it to a fourth grader and they will understand it. And this works B2B also. I always made the joke that when I was in product management, I was like, hey man, my daughter's in 3rd grade. If I can explain it to her and she understands it, then I have a chance that a loan officer can understand it too. You know,
all due respect,
obviously. But like those are the types of things that you got to think about. So when you get into the real like analytical side of things, that could just be a different target audience. You could just be dealing with a more affluent.
Well, let's say you're up in the Bay Area and there's a lot of engineers and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you can break stuff down systematically. Then you can dive deep into the numbers. Then you just have to adjust your expectations based on the audience that you're targeting.
Okay. Let's riff on this a minute. I'm just keeping an eye on the clock. Want to make sure I get a couple things in. Platform choices. Any directional advice for those that are, like, where should I post? All that.
Yeah. So the simple answer that everybody's going to give you is everywhere.
Yeah, right. We know that's not right.
Post it everywhere. And the trouble with it is that it is right. But what nobody is saying, is saying is you shouldn't start there.
Well, you can't if you're just a one-man shop.
It's a real easy way to burn out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So start in your digital home.
Okay. Where you hang out already.
Yeah. Are you spend most of your time on Facebook, on Instagram? I'm a LinkedIn guy.
Yeah.
I know you're big on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
We're both big on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever you are most comfortable digitally, start posting there because you probably already have the most connections or followers there.
Right.
And you will be most comfortable with that platform and its tools.
You got to get reps.
That's right. Once that becomes a muscle that you work every day that you don't even think about anymore, at that point, add in an extra platform.
Okay. Right.
And baby step your way into posting more. If you are creating 0 pieces of video content per month, don't try to start going daily. Start with like once or twice a week on one platform.
Right.
If you're already posting twice a week, take it up to Monday, Wednesday, Friday on 2 different platforms.
Yeah.
It's really important to baby step your way forward and look out for your future self with stuff like this because it's really easy to find yourself burnt out a lot quicker than you think. And the worst thing that you can do is burn yourself out. The second worst thing that you can do is not track your lead attribution. That I've seen happen. Like when you make contact with new people, actively ask them, hey, have you seen any of my social media content? And make note of it if they say yes. If you get a referral, I actually had this happen to somebody. A loan officer was doing content for a little over a year. It was actually working for them. They were getting a bunch of referrals, but they didn't know it because they met 3 really top producing real estate agents in their area through their content. They didn't notate it or log it anywhere. And every single referral that they got from those 3 agents mentally was just referral business.
Right.
Not social media, not attributed to the content strategy. A little over a year later, they figured, well, content's not working. I'm not getting any business from it. So they stopped. Guess where the business from those 3 agents went?
to someone else.
Away because they originally connected on platform. And when they were off platform, they weren't top of mind anymore.
Interesting.
And they shut down a strategy that was actually working for them because they weren't keeping proper attribution details. And it doesn't have to be huge. It just has to be enough
How'd you hear about me?
that, hey, this is working.
How'd you get here today?
And I like to tell people to ask it 2 to 3 times throughout the sales process. Because even if your content isn't working to bring new people into your sales funnel, if it's helping work people through your sales funnel, it's just as valuable.
All right, quick question then on, and this may change based on platform. Like I think about this in the context of Instagram. A lot of people that I know have asked about agent content versus consumer direct content.
Yes.
You can specify it per platform if you like, but what do you say to
that? Agent content versus consumer direct on Instagram specifically?
Let's just take Instagram specifically,
Okay, so Instagram's a tough place to be.
Why?
There's just so much content.
Right.
A lot of people are posting. The arbitrage that existed on Instagram 5-6 years ago.
But there are people that are doing well.
Of course.
On Instagram.
Of course.
Yeah.
And those people that are doing well are finding their tribe and being happy with what they have within that. So I think the key to success on Instagram is, again, like with anything, laser focus on a target viewer base and then maybe a little active outreach, finding people that exist in that target viewer base, follow them.
I guess it comes
interact
back to,
with them.
Not to interrupt you, but I think it comes back to strategy. For instance, one of my clients, I work with Travis Newton up in Oregon. I don't know if you know him. Synergy One. Shout out, Travis. What's up?
Reach out, Travis. I don't know you.
You should know Mike for sure. We'll get you the book for sure at a minimum.
Yeah.
He made a conscious choice in that the content he was posting on Instagram was intended for realtors. Because he wanted to build his realtor base, which he has, and he gets tons of referrals. His business is up 40%, I think. So he's making a conscious choice. And I think that's what it comes back to when we said at the beginning of strategy. Who's your ultimate viewer you're trying to reach? However, as you so intelligently pointed out, it's hard to grow on Instagram and reach consumer direct.
It's difficult.
So is the better, smarter play, you know what I mean, to get the local realtors in your content strategy, because that's going to pay multiples versus I'm trying to get, lots of consumers.
For the quickest wins, attacking referral business is going to work faster.
Okay. Right.
It just makes
But it's
more
okay
sense
to mix it up a little bit on your feed.
There are fewer mortgage professionals creating content for realtors.
Yes.
So your competition is far less.
Good point.
And realtors on that platform will appreciate it even more so because you're speaking in their terms.
Yeah.
And a lot of the realtor-focused content that you post is going to have overlap to a consumer direct audience also, especially if you're talking about investment properties and stuff. A lot of your investment content that's targeted towards real estate agents, your real estate agent might be the borrower.
Sure. Self-employed as well.
Yeah.
Those types of loans,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I really like the B2B messaging strategy above and beyond.
When you think about it, each one of those.
Or at least prioritized higher than the consumer-faced
Well, if you think
messaging.
about the ROI on the customer, air quotes, right? Which is, so I have a consumer, right? And that has, how much potential does that have to feed me additional business versus if I land a realtor.
That's right.
Right? Or whoever, other financial referral partner.
And for the people who have the resources, be it time or money, wonderful equation, right? It's either going to take you time or it's going to take you money.
Right.
If you have the resources to throw at both audiences and you really want to be the go-to in your market for both of those audiences, then maybe it's a whole content strategy for B2B and referrals and a whole content strategy for B2C. And they exist on separate Instagram profiles that are customized for each audience.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. So for the last few minutes we've got left, let's jam for a few minutes on AI, baby.
AI.
Like, I'm reading these things that, Tom Bilyeu, the co-founder of Quest Nutrition, right? He's obviously a big influencer now. So one of the things I've seen him post a lot lately is that, within 3 years, call it 90% of the content's going to be AI. On social media. And so he's talking about building communities. But I wanted to talk about in the context of what's your hot take on competing with AI, whether that's the, robot, the fake, whatever you call it, You know what I'm saysaying?
Yeah.
The AI, the avatar. That's not me, but it is me.
Correct.
You know, all that.
Humans seek humans.
Sure. Yeah.
Ever since we existed.
Right.
And that's not going to stop anytime soon. It's in our DNA. So what I'm finding just in paying attention to myself, when I scroll through a feed of any kind, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever, we are live time actively building internal AI filters for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like we're just looking
we're
at
like
it,
bullshit detectors.
We have to be.
Yeah.
Because, and if you want to prove it and you're not doing it, go to any post that looks kind of cool and hop into the comments. And one of the first 5 comments is probably going to say, this is AI, or is this real? Or something along those lines, because everybody's trying to weed out the noise.
Yeah.
And I think that we are being conditioned to classify AI-generated content as noise. And I have a theory that, especially on social media, I think 2 to 3, maybe 5 to 6 years from now, the talking head, person talking to you, person to relate to type of content that's going to do the best is going to be the stuff that you literally can't fake because the prompts are so specific. It would be time prohibitive to do so. So it'll be the content where I pulled out my phone while I'm walking my dog. I address that I'm walking my dog. I show my dog. I'm walking around. There's houses in my neighborhood. Maybe there's a street sign that actually exists in the background. The little minute detail, the things that AI is going to get wrong about a larger environment, those things I think are going to start performing better than things that look like the stuff we're watching right now.
Yeah.
Because the podcast studio, this looks and sounds
This could
phenomenal.
Be a fake background. We could be AIs.
100%. I saw a clip from a podcast where Jesus Christ was interviewing the devil the other day.
Oh my gosh.
I saw another one where a gorilla was vlogging in the woods about how he thinks he can beat up 100 men.
Right.
Because that was the trend
one.
or whatever. Like these things are out there now.
Right.
And you know that they're fake because those are audacious.
Purposely, yeah.
But they're good. They look good. They sound good. And if anybody hasn't, look up the recent demo that Google showed off about their AI video creation stuff.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And there's rumor that that's going to be rolling directly into YouTube.
Really?
It's possible that you might be able to create a short straight in YouTube. So it's like, okay, well, here's the trash. Anybody can post anything. So it's about finding ways to differentiate yourself and identify yourself as real. I've already started in my content sessions with clients.
Yeah.
When I'm coaching a client through making their content, that's what we do. Red Button Media, content systems, and it all starts with a 1-hour content session once a month with me where I coach you through making your video content. I've started instructing our editors to leave in some of the ums and uhs and the awkward pauses and the fumbles over words and things like, because those are the things that AI will not do for much longer after it starts replicating our stuff from a couple selfies in our camera roll.
It's made me think about, and this is back to what Bill, you said, he's the whole communities thing. And then people debate, well, audience or community, what's the difference? And I think the difference is connection and engagement is the difference. And then like he talked about actually live streaming making a comeback because it's pretty hard to replicate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I can't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Live is great.
Like, well, even if it's like you said, the live walking the dog, whatever. It's just some type of a real in your life experience. Could be a live stream we do officially set up and we can tell it's live because, hey, Bill, see you in the chat. Like, you know what I mean?
That's right.
All that.
That's right. Or you maybe you pull out your phone and make a couple shorts while you're in the city and it's busy because you know there's going to be a couple cars randomly honking or you're going to get interrupted and bumped into when you're walking down the street. Like those type of real
Some people make an argument that
situations,
AI will be able to duplicate that.
I'm sure AI will be able to duplicate that, but the odds of that passing somebody's BS filter is going to be much higher than something where it's a gorilla talking.
Yeah,
to
I think
camera.
there's an amazing applications for AI.
I agree.
In the right context, of course.
I mean, it's never. I don't want to say never. Never say never. I can't say that it's never going to replace us because I still say thank you to ChatGPT every time I use it.
You are wasting so much computing power.
I know I'm wasting computing power, and I feel like our computer overlords appreciate.
You're just hoping when they come and invade. This is the guy who said thank you.
That's right. I want to be on the side of the people that were
the
appreciative.
Thank yous, the whiny bitches who never cared, right? All that kind of stuff.
That's right. We'll be in the thank you camp.
Well, look, for those who want to connect with you more, tell us how they do it.
If you are a founder, a CEO, a sales leader, an executive who knows that this digital visibility through content is important, but you don't have the time for that stuff, hit me up over at hittheredbutton.com. That's my website. That's what we do.
Yep.
We specifically implement and strategize around content systems for founders, executives, and sales leaders. For people who are looking to kind of DIY it, but the best kind of DIY, meaning with a little bit of help, head over to Amazon and pick up Rethink Everything, The Power of Video for Business and Sales. Very specific and very meaningful title. This is not just about video. This is video for business and sales. Yeah.
It's like we said at the beginning, it's no longer just about the why, even though the why is in here from Kyle. Shout out once again, Kyle. But
too many shout outs. Take that one back. Never mind, Kyle.
Delete that.
And I'm Mike Ferrossi on Instagram, or not on Instagram. LinkedIn. I'm the Mike Ferrossi on Instagram, but that's not where my main audience is. I'm an Instagram, I keep saying, you got me in this Instagram mode, man. I'm a LinkedIn first guy.
Yes.
That's my digital home.
Right.
So find me there, shoot me a connection request. I will accept it, and let's chat about whatever.
Yeah, what I always ask the listeners and viewers to do is, I'm going to link all your stuff up in the show notes, but get on, check out his website, hit the red button, but also go to LinkedIn, follow him, and DM him and say, what's your one big takeaway from today's conversation? I want anybody listening or watching to let you know what that is.
I would love that. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah. All right, Mike, well, we have an event to go to, Mastermind Summit, man.
That we do.
Let's do it. Everybody listening, you know what to do. Follow Mike, hit the red button, get on LinkedIn, and if you like this, share it with somebody else who you think might find value. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.
Bye.